Hello, welcome to Hakuna MaChatter, and today's episode I'm talking with the wonderful MJ. This is View from the Inside. We're going to be discussing all things diversity representation within the industry from MJ's perspective. Let's get into this.
Hello, everyone. My name is MJ. I am Canadian born. I did not start out as an actor. My kind of trajectory will kind of be like competitive figure skater into like corporate sociology and French literature. That kind of did that for a little while, and then I became a professional dancer, and then now I'm an actor.
And now you're an actor.
Yeah, and now here we are. Yeah, and just kind of like hopped around. So yeah, lived in Canada, lived over the States, in Australia, in France, and now London. So
Amazing.
yeah, here I am. Yeah.
That is quite the path. That's in what was like. I mean, what was I guess because I've introduced you as an actor, so my main question here will be what was the decision like for you to decide? Okay, now I'm going to give acting a go. Now I'm going to go down that path.
Well, it wasn't a huge leap from dancing because
Yeah.
the biggest leap I think was when I went from okay, yeah, so I have a degree in sociology and French literature, and I'm gonna do event coordination and creative design, and then I on a whim kind of went to this audition for a scholarship program in Vancouver, just for I don't know shits and gigs. Who knows? I
Yeah.
have no idea. Um, like was absolutely fucking insane. Like had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on. I just flailed for 4 hours, and then the director of the company at the end called me in. I sat in front of the panel and then handed me a contract, and I just cried because I was like, "Oh my god, I meant to perform. This is what I meant to do."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of transitioning into acting. A lot of dancers they end up doing acting classes just to
Yeah. Yeah.
be better performers and more marketable or whatever. And then I was like, oh, hang on a minute. Acting is everything I love about dance, but strips away all the things I don't like. And then, yeah, just here I am. Here it is, really.
One thing I like to do with people, with guests for this segment is to ask. I mean, to start with, is to ask the kind of films, shows, maybe theatre that you watched growing up as a kid that stuck out to you that you can point to. That was my childhood.
Yeah, I it's funny. I asked myself, uh, what three characters kind of really affected me growing up.
Hmm.
They're really rogue, so you're welcome. Um, one of them is Batman,
Nice.
and it's because he was the one who, because he doesn't have any superpowers, but that
Yeah.
doesn't stop him from being a hero.
Yeah.
So that he was a big one for me. Another one was Elle Woods.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, she was the first character in my life who kind of showed that you could still be a boss and
Yeah.
still retain your femininity. Obviously, it was like hyper femininity, which I'm very not. But just to show that like you don't only need masculine qualities in order to succeed in life.
Yeah.
And the biggest one is Mulan. I
Okay.
remember
Yeah.
watching it in the cinema, and that one's a huge one for me because
Hmm.
like Mulan is still to this day the only character I can think of who looks like me,
Mm-hmm.
didn't need a prince, didn't need a savior,
Yeah.
and did the thing. She just fucking
Yeah.
went out and did the thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I still like I think there's things emerging kind of now, but to be honest, off the top of my head, I can't really name any um, female East Asian characters
Hmm.
that are
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, it's a real issue with the industry, isn't it? And especially now with kind of everything that is floating around with the Asian diaspora, particularly in the US and the UK. And I've been wondering if for the channel I can make a video that is trying to address that in some way. But it's difficult when it's with film and TV because finding the representation isn't always easy. And I'm probably going to be out like watch Mulan, watch Raya and the Last Dragon, and there's a lot, there is more out there, but it's difficult to, off the top of your head, to go, right, I can name you 10 right now. It's, you're going to struggle to get there, which is an issue.
Yeah, it's insane. Because the thing is, like, there's the side characters. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's the classic side characters. I mean, it's as we all did in lockdown. We did, pub quizzes galore. And yeah, God, I'm pub quizzed out. But there was a round that the bring your own round thing. Yeah. Like, I did one where it was women in film, and like, to this day, there's like Awkwafina, for example, is the first and only Asian to win a Golden Globe. Who is it? Jodie Foster is still the only LGBTQ female performer to get nominated or win an Oscar. It's just insane. Like, all these people, like Halle Berry, I think, is the only one to win an Oscar for lead actress in film still. There's like a lot of supporting actors and stuff.
Hasn't.
She recently has. She's the Viola Davis. Oh my God, I'm going to butcher this statistic, but she's the only one to win a Tony, an Emmy, I want to say, and an Oscar, I think. But I think Viola Davis wasn't for lead actress though.
No, because I think she's now the most nominated black actress at the Oscars, but it's mainly for supporting, if I'm correct. It might be 2-2, or it might now be 2-2 because Ma Rainey, I think, counts as a lead. But before that, it was supporting. Yeah, and I think you're right. She's not one for lead yet.
And people don't. They're like, there are a lot of people who are in, like, for example, what's it called, when co-op agencies, for example. So actors will see what's coming through and whatever, and they'll say, oh yeah, it's really in to be ethnic or female right now, and I'm like, good. I'm so glad I'm a trend. But it's
No, you're right.
But because of how much people are trying to change the industry, they're still not really realizing, or they're forgetting that it wasn't until like 5 minutes ago that we were even in films.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like 5 minutes ago that like we had speaking lines.
Yeah.
And it's really important because for me, obviously, like, everyone has their own personal experiences, and, especially like, Caucasian male actors, they kind of, like, I completely understand there's this thing of like, oh God, there's nothing I'm doing that's right. Like, there's no right answer because of how reactive everyone is. But that's why I love numbers, and that comes from my degree. I love numbers because numbers don't lie. And
No.
I'm just gonna quietly plug this bad boy right here.
Oh, here we go.
So this is this is a book called Real Inequality, and it's written by Nancy Wang Yuan, and it's about Hollywood actors and racism. It was printed 3 years ago, so all the statistics are still very, very new. And she goes into the actual statistics of everything. So the only woman of color, not just African American actress, to win Best Actress is Halle Berry. It says right there.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes into all the graphs and things of like, the who's even nominated or who's even in films, until I think the statistic for like Asians is like, I don't know, like 3% of speaking roles in film across the board. Like,
it's because I try and read every year the UCLA Hollywood Diversity Report, because they're perfect for finding your numbers. And their 2018-19 report, 2018-2019 report, I mean, it showed how there has been a stark increase for black actors and black representation but how it's still faltering with South Asian, East Asian, with Latin and Hispanic as well, and Indigenous as well. There's still so far to go, and I always kind of have people that ask, but what is even the end goal? For me, I wonder if it's trying to find that proportionate representation. Would you agree with that, or would you still want to push a little bit further than that?
The thing is, because the vast majority of things that have been made is Caucasians, specifically Caucasian male stories, and so I'm not saying that like we stop telling those stories. It's not like we pretend like they're not there. Like, you know what I mean? But it's just a thing of because we have this many stories told about them, and right now we're just kind of like, oh, here we go. Let's tell more stories like that, so that at least when you're looking at the pool of stories told, that everyone will be able to see themselves, because that was a huge reason why, for example, Mulan was such an affecting character for me, because she literally is the only one who was like, I can think of, who was like, oh my god, someone who looks like me can be a hero. Someone who looks like me doesn't just have to be the submissive, giggling person in the corner who doesn't speak English. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really, really like insurmountably important, because as well, with the thing is about film and TV, because as the government has proven, they don't really value the arts that much, but they don't realize the effect that film and TV and entertainment in general plays in everyone's perception of different races, of different genders, of different groups. Because it was something like 2017, I want to say, it was like 98 to 99% of Muslims portrayed on screen were portrayed as terrorists. So if you live in like bumfuck nowhere, where it's like a small town, and do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that there's a lack of education there. It's just that if the only Muslims that they're seeing are terrorists, then they're gonna associate Muslim with terror. Like, I can't even explain to you how many people are like, oh yeah, they're terrorists, and I'm like, no, they're just wearing burqas. Like, that's not not like it like Islam and terrorism are not synonymous. No, but exactly. That's what people think.
Yeah, and you make that perfect point there of representation isn't just for you and I. It's for us to learn about each other, which certainly more important. No, I mean I grew up in London, so I grew up around so many different cultures. And in fact, even just the other day, I was sat in the park, and I think every other person that walked past me was different from the next, and it was just like, surely that is just I mean that is the world. So why are we not? Why diverse representation, particularly in TV and film, is so slow to be catching up. And okay, look, so as we say, in the city is going to be different to a bumfuck town, but
but it still exists even in metropolitan cities. And the most important question anybody can ask is why. Like, on any level, sometimes people are like, oh well, there aren't that many people of color who gave Oscar-worthy performances or whatever. They just didn't exist or whatever. And it's like, okay, but why? It's because there are no stories being told where the roles exist. Like, if you're doing like an Abraham Lincoln biopic, okay, let's, you know what I mean?
For the third time.
Yeah, for the 78th time. Good. He's still dead. Good, guys. Or like, I didn't have any like, Indian actors, because there just aren't that many Indian actors out there. And but again, you have to ask the question, why? Like, for me, I didn't think that acting when I was growing up was even really an option ever, because I never saw any. Like, I just inherently thought like, oh well, Asians, like, that's a pretty white person thing, because that's all I would see in film. Like, seriously, it's a pretty white person job.
I get you. Yeah.
and yeah, it's just that's why it's so important. It's not like you said, it's not about you, me. It's about people watching it. It's about like, think about how much entertainment like permeates throughout, and popular culture permeates through our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
No, it's like it's 100%, and I think it really shows in the fact that when we're saying, I ask you your childhood, what are the things that stick out when it comes to film and TV, and you said, right, I've got three. And one is someone who looks like me, and I mean, I don't know, mate. Obviously there's the obviously we can see qualities and things we like in other people, as you perfectly articulated with Elle. But at the same time, we want to see ourselves a bit more. For one of these, I had one of my cousins on, and he was saying, look, I grew up. He was saying, I grew up watching Star Wars, and they bring Lando in, and it was like, here, we've got one for you. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Lando's great. He's like, yeah, but Elliot, think about how Lando was first seen to us. He betrayed his best friend, stood with the bad guys. This was, we didn't have Return of the Jedi yet. We saw this guy, and he did this thing. And I was like, yeah, fair point. Yeah, you make a lot of sense. And when we're growing up around that, and not growing up, when, particularly at that time, people had to wait 3 years before Lando came good. It's you kind of, you sit there and you go, huh, okay. So, go on. You're going to add to that.
Yeah, no, just because also it's the types of stories that are told as well. Like, I don't know if you heard about this, but when were doing the live action of Mulan, God, I'm just talking so much about Mulan, but because when they were first creating the live action of Mulan, the original script, the storyline was a white man comes to China, falls in love with Mulan, saves China, and that was a film, and like everyone, not just the Asian community, was like, hang on a minute, what? Like, do you know what I mean? It's that continuous story of who the hero is, what characters are being given. It's classic in, for example, like in American war films. Like it glorifies like the American soldier hero, and then like, oh yeah, fucking Japs or like Nazi bastards and whatever. And I personally, I've been harassed on a bus, been called a Jap, and show some fucking respect and blah blah blah. And what is he doing? He's just doing exactly what he's seen in films. Legitimately, all of this stuff permeates through because people are really believing these things that they're watching.
Yeah, and then there are times when they will stick the minority ethnic person into the film on the hero side, and you'll always get the comment of, yeah, but he's one of the good ones, and you're just like, sorry, what does that even mean? That means they're all bad, but this one's okay because he will kill them with us. Okay, good, good. Let's swell.
Tokenism, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is it. And actually, it's kind of interesting, talking about tokenism and talking about that initial script for Mulan, and you look at the. I always look at the live action Aladdin film and how they managed to still squeeze Prince Anders, played by Billy Magnussen, in there to be the rival prince to Aladdin, and it was like, everyone sort of talks about Halle Bailey. So difficult to say because it's so close to Halle Berry. With Halle Bailey becoming Little Mermaid, and how, but that wasn't like the original, and it was like, yeah, but there also wasn't a white prince in the original Aladdin film, but y'all don't kick up on that because guess what? But that was a classic case of tokenism as well, and it's kind of, it's amazing what I say we lightly will accept compared to what we won't accept. And I say we, I mean as a fan base, as a joint fan base. But then, when you kind of got to address things similarly when you see them.
Whitewashing exists. Like even in the last Doctor Strange film, Tilda Swinton, she played an Asian character. That's meant to be an Asian character. Or Scarlett Johansson playing in Ghost in the Shell, meant to be an Asian character. Like it's like, why is it okay one way but not the other? Do you know what I mean? And actually, I have a funny story about Aladdin, because I that was the last cow call audition I'd ever done as a dancer when they were like first auditioning that, because they did a call out for like BAME performers and da-da-da. I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know if it's okay for me to go, because I'm not actually like, I'm like different kind of Asian, like, do you know what I mean? But I was kind of like, I don't know how comfortable I feel going. You know, I'll swing through if it seems like it's really inappropriate for me to be there, because I also don't want to be part of the problem. Even if I'm just a background character, like I was like, I'll swing through. I went. It was like, I want to say like 80% Caucasian people, and I was like, okay, Agrabah doesn't. Okay, what? And I just kind of like, I was like, okay, I need to pee. I just need to get out of the situation for a second. Yeah. I was queuing for the loo, and I was stood there behind this girl who has platinum blonde hair, green eyes. She's looking in the mirror while her friend, like, waiting for her friend. And I shit you not, this is what she was doing. She was putting her hair up in the mirror, looking, and she was like, if I put my hair back, do I look more ethnic? And I just kind of like did that like slow like. And I just was like,
yeah.
You know, you're just like.
I almost thought, I mean, that was bad. I almost thought you were going to say that she was, you know, about to darken herself up a bit, but, you know, she might as well have.
Oh,
she might as well have.
She was already, she was bronzing for her life, and then was, and just asked the very blunt question, if I put my hair back, do I look more ethnic? And I was like, oh my god, yeah. Wait, I just dropped my will to live. Okay.
How do I, yeah. But it's, I mean, I've seen that as well. I've seen Caucasian people still putting themselves forward for roles. You know, I saw something, I think even just on the Hustle Facebook group, they were asking for Nigerian people for a commercial, and there were Caucasian actors writing in the replies being like, hi, here's my CV, I'd like to put myself forward. And it was like, I mean, you could be born in Nigeria, yeah, I understand that, but when we're talking commercial and they say Nigerian, what they're asking for is black Nigerian. Just Nigerian. And y'all ain't that. And, you know, we worry about taking up a space when we see, I hate the phrase, but BAME call-outs, because, you know, it's always, you know, it's the sort of privilege I have of being mixed race. You know, I've played Middle Eastern parts when I'm not Middle Eastern. I've gone forward for African parts when I am not African. But, you know, and I have that privilege, but then within our industry, I don't carry the privilege of being able to go forward for Caucasian roles, even though actually half of what I am is that. And yeah, it's, you know, I worry about taking up a space, but then I'm also like, but I'm also very limited in the roles I can take. And, you know, so I really do understand your, you know, when you're going for something like Aladdin, like, oh, where do I fit in that? You know, do I?
And people, like, they're just like, oh, well, you're going to be seen, you're seen for way more because you're ethnic and you have, like, and that's, like, really in right now and whatever. And because there's, like, a bajillion, like white brunette girls or whatever. And my point is, like, yeah, that's fine, but the roles I'm going, like, I'll never be seen for a lead role. I'll always be a side character at best. And even though, again, that is changing slowly but surely, but only just. Only just. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that's great that I can play the IT person because all Asians are good at computers. Or, like, I can play geisha because, you know, we're all, like, fucking coy sex workers. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, phenomenal. Like, that I've had, like, 20 auditions for, like, geisha number 7. But it's like, how is that propelling forward, like, the world we live in? Which is why someone like Shonda Rhimes, for example, oh my God, this woman, I've been following her career since, like, the beginning of Grey's Anatomy. And because she even says, she's like, I want my shows to look like the world we live in. And to not make such a humongous deal about the fact that, like, you know, there's interracial couples, there's different sexualities, there's all this stuff, because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's we've got Shonda Rhimes doing it from that side of the camera, and then we have Ava DuVernay doing it from the other side of the character. You've probably seen she's just launched the Array Crew network. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it yet, but
okay. So Array Crew is great. It's currently just in the US, but it's a database of underrepresented cohorts, both race and gender, for crew positions, and now it's been backed by loads of the Hollywood studios, Warner Brothers, Disney, Sony, etc. Not just in that they're saying we'll use the database, but that they have helped to fund the database as well, so that if they are looking for crew, to have more diverse crews, they now have a database where they can go, cool, I can go look them up. Here they are. We were talking before starting recording about the excuses that people find, and one of them was, well, where do I find them? Well, here you go. Now you've got it. And I know that there are plans to expand the database into Canada and the UK as well. So
that's great.
Yeah. So
good.
it's the work, as we say, it's happening. It's happening, but it's down to individuals at the moment, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, it really affects the way people in everyday life treat each other as well.
Yeah.
Again, growing up, everyone who was like a lead character or like getting the guy or like this, that, and whatever was always like just pretty white people. And, until I was like, I don't know, like 20, I thought the only compliment about my appearance, not that it should be about that, but like I thought the only compliment about my appearance that existed was, oh, you're really pretty for an Asian. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As if it's some kind of handicap that I am like, that I have a different color skin or different shaped eyes. Like, it's so important, and this is why I'm like a huge like Marvel fan, for example. Which like, oh my god, my flatmate will like scoff at this, but it's because Stan Lee, one of his missions was to show that it doesn't matter your race, your religion, your sexuality, your gender, whatever it is, anybody can be a hero. Which is why, in X-Men, for example, the reason why Professor X is named Professor X is because he was named for Malcolm X, and those stories were being written during the time of the civil rights movement, and again, a character who shows that like you can be crippled and still the most powerful mutant in the world.
Yep.
And it's so, those are such incredibly important stories. And those are stories that really, really mean everything to me.
Definitely. Yeah, it's the same. And like, I keep a very close eye on the Marvel Cinematic Universe here on the channel. So now that we're moving into this new phase where they are going to be bringing in more diverse stories, we just had Falcon and the Winter Soldier start, and we have the Eternals coming up, which is going to be their most diverse leading cast to date. It's really, they're really moving in a way that will start to fully embody, as you say, what Stan Lee's mission was. Because they were sort of blocked before that by one of the Marvel, now Disney execs, and it's actually he's not gone over to Disney. He's always just been a Marvel exec. But when Disney took over, they were able to push him to the side so that they could, actually push forward with Kevin. I mean, it's mainly Kevin Feige and Louis D'Esposito and some of the other exec producers there that are really trying to push that message from Stan Lee. So,
but it's that classic excuse of like, oh well, this actor is not as well known as Scarlett Johansson, so like we have to go with a well known actor who's gonna make us the money. And my point is always like, okay, well, Scarlett Johansson wasn't always Scarlett Johansson. Like everyone starts somewhere. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why is it more acceptable to give the Caucasian actor a chance because it's a sure thing and not the other? Which is why, like, there's something else actually that is talked about in the book, and that I feel all the time, is that there is, whenever I get something, I feel that intense pressure of I better fucking be the best in the room. Because if I fuck this up, I fuck it up for everybody. And it's such a real thing. Like oh well, we gave Asians a chance and it didn't make money, so like, I'm not gonna take that risk again. Or like, it's this thing of like, you do represent, like, you represent everyone. You're not just representing yourself, which is something that unfortunately, if you come from white privilege, it like, you won't experience. You know.
No, I agree. So I think that kind of segues us, I guess, now quite nicely into, you know, what are the things you look out for now? What are the things that you're watching when it comes to film and TV? Are there, you know, do you have shows that are your, I don't know, do you have anything that's your favourite that you want to highlight out, or have you prepared another 3 characters that you look at now in adulthood that are leading the way for you?
I mean anything by Shonda Rhimes, honestly. I just love everything that she stands for, and I love her. I think when it comes to watching things, I really think about who's making it and where it's coming from, because for example, that, I don't know if you saw that short film, it's a Pixar short, it's called Out, and it's on Disney, and it's it's the first Disney film, even though it's just a short, where it's about a gay couple.
Yeah.
And the reason I made a point to watch it, because I love Disney Pixar anyway, so like twist my arm about it. Yeah. But also, the more things are streamed, the more executives can be convinced that those stories can be told more. So if there's something, for example, Schitt's Creek, because I'm Canadian and I have Canadian pride, I was like, my friend told me it was like a fully Canadian show, all Canadian actors, filmed in Canada, Canadian writers, this and whatever. And I was like, great, I want to support that, because like, it's, you know, as much fun as it is to have, you know, Hollywood be the complete dictating superpower in the world, like, let's spread it out a little, like, do you know what I mean? As much as possible, I want to support stories about not the white guy. One of the films I really, really enjoyed was Coco, because I don't know that much about Mexican culture. I really don't, and I didn't feel alienated. No. I didn't feel like I was watching something that I was like, I can't relate to this at all, or whatever. It was such an incredibly well told narrative, but I also was learning really genuine, like, cultural, like, traditions within that. And I came out of it like, I feel like I know a bit more about that culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, which is kind of the way forward to do it, because I think another thing that I personally don't feel that connected to is making work, when it's making work about people of color and just talking about the struggle of being a person of color. It becomes a little bit like laboring to watch. Like, you know what I mean? It's like yes, of course it's important to bring to light all the suffering as well. And that needs to exist. But as well, there also needs to exist the other side where, hey, maybe it's just normal to have have a person of color or a gay couple or whatever as the lead. Actually, I think Dan Levy said it in his documentary after Schitt's Creek, because he was portrayed as a bisexual character, but they didn't make a big hoopla about it. They didn't say like the struggle of sexuality and coming out or whatever. It was literally a line of like, sometimes I like red wine, sometimes I like white wine, sometimes I like rosé. Yeah. And that was how they addressed the sexuality, and they just went on with it. And it normalizes it. It doesn't make it such a huge deal. So it's just important to balance that out. You know, because I'm not saying like ignore all the shit we went through, but also like don't make it just about that, because like then I'm gonna need a cigarette after every single fucking film I watch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think David Oyelowo put it quite nicely in that, these people they're curators of culture, and I've seen it come up again in an article I was reading yesterday. It's we're creating culture, and every film and TV show that gets out there is adding to that culture. Every piece of theatre, every piece of dance, it's adding to that culture, and how the story that's being told and how you tell that story, that influences the culture. It's not just the piece itself. It's not just the what. You're right. It's the how as well, and how we build that is insanely important.
Yeah, because it's the more it happens, the more we build the culture, and the more we normalize that anybody, doesn't matter, again, like color of your skin, your gender, your sexuality, your height, like Peter Dinklage. Holy shit, I have so much respect for that dude, because he's someone who shows that like I'm gonna play characters where they're written in to be small. I don't know the politically correct way.
I don't know either, unfortunately.
God, but also like I can play when it's not written like that. It's a story that really motivates me, because I just, again, like I was saying before, how I feel this pressure of needing to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, 4 times as hard, because it's that much harder for me to get into the room anyway. It's not just an accent I can put on. It's not a weight I can change. It's literally the shape of my eyes and the color of my skin. Like it's not something that is changeable. And I'm not gonna obviously I'm not gonna mention names or whatever, but I happen to overhear a rant from a Caucasian actress who was like, why is it all of a sudden about like only pushing BAME performers and da-da-da-da, like I work so hard and blah blah blah. And the thing about it is I'm not discounting the fact that everyone's had struggles, and everyone is going through their personal struggle, even regardless of race. Like, it is fucking hard being an actor. it is fucking hard. Like, it is not for the faint of heart.
No.
But it's just not about any individual actor. It's not about any individual career. It's not about any individual project. It's about, holistically, it's about the world. It's about the impact we're having. It's just about evening out the playing field a little bit, about showing that human beings are just human beings, because very, very clearly, let's look at like the last US president, like people still don't understand that human beings are just human beings, that, like there's a shooting in Atlanta, and what's the response? Oh, he was having a bad day and he's a sex addict. Okay. Like, great. Like I'm afraid, like, I watched this video of this woman who is my mom's age being attacked by a white man. Because calling her the virus or whatever. And my mother, like, okay, so this woman that I saw in this video, she fucking picked up a 2x4 and defended the crap out of herself.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, what a boss ass bitch.
Yeah.
I love my mother, but my mother is not that woman. My mother would be fucking killed in that situation, and I actually, like, I'm not even going to think about it even further, because I will actually start crying, because I live in fear that that's going to happen. Like microaggressions and, people like catcalling, like random Asian words at me. Like, this is my life. It's not, I haven't just experienced racism within this last year. This is not like, oh, the pandemic, oh, poor Asians, just this last year. And I'm like, no, this is something I've lived with my entire life. And I find it quite interesting, that people don't realize that. Even people of color actually don't realize that, like I've had, Black friends who are like, oh, you experience racism? And it's because Asians are quiet about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Asians are really fucking quiet about it. But yeah, like, I've been harassed, I've been refused service, I've like had to carry my keys like fucking Wolverine, and like, because I thought, I thought someone was gonna be jumped. Like, it's it's such a real thing, and
And then on top of that, there's
I
the intersectionality of your gender along with, and your sex along with that. So it's, you know,
yeah.
it's
And
weird that it's taken a pandemic for people to wake up to it, isn't it? You know.
I mean, yeah, it's sometimes the universe just kind of goes, okay, everyone's gonna sit down and think about what you did.
Okay, it's been 100 years and you guys still haven't sorted that shit out. So here's another one, and
Yeah.
you know, fucking figure it out.
I really, really, for anybody watching, like, and if you're a person of color, like, I really, really want everyone to try to think about something that you don't understand, an experience that you don't understand, and because everyone, doesn't matter, like, what color your skin is, what gender you are, whatever, everyone has some form of privilege.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's like I'm privileged enough to live in a developed country. I'm not worried about like a bomb going off because I'm in a war-torn country. That in itself is privilege.
Yeah.
So privilege is not a dirty word. Privilege is something to be grateful for and to utilize to propel us forward. So it's not about being like, oh, privilege, bleh, and like, because again, what? Every single human being on this planet has privilege. Whoever doesn't and is at the bottom of the food chain, I want to meet that person. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always someone who is worse. So it's about not being angry at privilege, but about being more knowledgeable and educated about privilege.
Definitely. Yeah. That is. I think that is a perfect tone to leave this on as well.
I agree.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you very much. MJ, where can people find you should they wish to follow you, follow your career, maybe if possible to connect with you more on this as well, if you're open to that, of course.
Oh my God, so open about it. I am not gonna lie. The only social media that I kind of do really is Instagram. I tried to do Twitter. It's too much for me, man. It's just like so much shit's happening there.
Yeah.
So my Instagram is MJAYLEEE, and I can send it out. But yeah, I'm always so happy to be an ear to listen to for people of color, for people not of color. And just any gender, whatever. I'm always really, really open to it, and especially in times like now, like human connection is so important. And like please talk to me, guys. Talk to me.
Yeah, MJ is the same as me, guys. This kind of chat is what gets us out of bed in the morning. So, you know, we do this for a reason. We do this for a reason because we want everyone to experience all the goodness, all the greatness, right? It's there.
Absolutely.
It's there. Good. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us today on this video. Make sure you drop your comments in the comment section down below with any opinions you have. I'd love to open up that discussion, open up the conversation with you, so please drop them down below. Don't forget to drop this video with a like. Don't forget to go follow MJ over on Instagram and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell notification if you want to dive deeper with me into diversity and representation in film and TV. Thank you very much. Hakuna MaChatter.